clear to play. Bat rip.
And we're back in turn 2, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more action for you guys. Now we both have our full armies on the board. I rolled for don't press that for both of them, but only the one actually needed it because the other one was stunned. But the other Wagon moves up to be able to shoot at those dreadnoughts, hopefully take them out, so those return shots, because they do so much damage, will not be able to hurt them. Storm Boys rocket up, and the Battle Wagon wants to drive between some trees, but it seems like they don't fit. But he gets wedged in there, nice and nice and snug there. Shooter Boys moving up to be able to get out of the way of the Slugger Boys and be able to get a full amount of shells. I was debating there going backwards, but then no, I decided I do want to go that way. And so we'll just have to see if I can get into charge range. And again, Codius has that psychic power of having me to, I think, Sanctuary, having to go through difficult terrain, so who knows. The Terminator, or Librarian Terminator armor, does Shroud, and so he does give a cover save to everyone that I do hit. But the Wagon does hit directly, does hit a bunch of those henchmen, and with crazy wound allocation, they're, you know, wounds some and wounds others, and all I know is at the end of it, one guy died. Against the Chimera, I am unable to penetrate, or I penetrate, but I only am able to stun it, unfortunately. Not able to do anything. The Ludas do shoot, and they get a great angle there, as you can see. Doesn't get any cover. I shoot all of those, only 3 manage to wound, or manage to hit, and none of them penetrate at all. So now the Shock Attack gun shoots, only gets 3 strength. That's awful. But because of their toughness 3, I do manage to wound a bunch, and surprisingly, with his wound allocation, he fails the feel no pain of his, I think, Arco Flails, and 2 die. So strength 3 Shock Attack Gun Blast, and more than a strength 8 blast from the boom gun. The Ludas continue to shoot, but they managed to do absolutely nothing. Or no, they did they got 1 penetrating hit, and his 6+ save on his vehicle from Shroud negated it. That was awful. So the Shooter Boys unload into the other henchman squad, and it's ridiculous with all the different squad members, all the wound allocation. It took a while to play, but we rolled and we rolled and we rolled, and we figured that, well, one guy should die, right? At least one guy? Okay, one guy. Or no, we got 2. All right. Then, oh yes, that was Sanctuary being cast, and so I did have to roll for difficult terrain. I did get 4 inches, barely, like it was just barely touching, as you can start from that measurement. And so the Orks charge in, but they are going to have to take a difficult terrain test, and unfortunately, because of only the 4 inches, they're not all going to be able to get into combat. But I only lose one, like one guy that was trying to climb over the rocks. You know, did him justice, I guess. So luckily the Librarian is not within 6 inches of the initial charge, and so he's not able to get into close combat and will not hit back. But he has a few psychic powers that he's using, mainly the... One sec, it gives +2 strength. He's casting 2 different psychic powers, and I think one of them was only allowed on his turn, but at any rate, that's the way we played it. And so he wounds on 2s with all of his guys, and you can see he decimated my boy squad, and I just get a few to attack back. But unfortunately, no, there they are. These are attacking back. I do get a fair bit of wounds, but again with the wound allocation, and the dice gods were just on Sid's favor. I do kill 1 there, but he does save the rest, I do believe. Yeah, so, so I just killed the other. No, I do kill 2 of them. The Crusader and I think an Arco Flail. One of those. I kill a couple henchmen. Let's stick it at that. My Knob, unfortunately, also is out of combat, and I'm not able to fight with him, so I couldn't do anything, and so I was at -8 leadership, and so I get overrun, and they consolidate 3 inches. And so that is the end of turn 2 Orks. And that is what the board looks like. So now, with the Grey Knights, he's rocketing up with those chimeras, and he does have those dozer blades, so he's able to not get immobilized. The henchmen are moving up, making sure there's no way for the orcs to escape, and to make room for any other squads that do want to shoot at the boys, not give them a cover save. And, oh yes, and it was mostly making room for the Razorback to move up and try to shoot my weird boy. He does fit that chimera in there, kind of wedges in between the rocks. Technically, he was immobilized, you know, if you saw it on the board, but dice gods say no, he wasn't immobilized, so. Moving on. He moves up out of cover, for the most part, maybe in the cover, depending on the angle, because of all these trees that are in the way. Death Cult Assassin shoots the battle wagon, hits, penetrates, and because he has AP1, it is immobilized. However, later on we discussed that his guys were in the way, so we rolled a cover save, and it was negated for at least this turn 2. All the last cannons and last guns from those Jakira weaponsmiths, they all fire. And for those of you who want to know, the one squad of Jakira weaponsmiths got the improved gun sights and reinforced armor, and the other got the improved gun sights, reinforced armor, penetrating ammunition, and augmented energy fields. And so he continues to rain death and horror because my Ludas failed me so terribly last turn, and all of his dreadnoughts and all of his guys are just he just has free reign over everything that's in the open. Unfortunately, I was a little too bold, it seems. And he hits back. He does explode the box of a looted wagon. Nice little homemade crater there by Dave and his students. And unfortunately, the Razorback is out of range of the weird boy. So actually, fortunately for the weird boy. So the Stormbolter and Melt-A-Gun shoot into the boys, and then you can tell Sid plays Orks because that's how he charges in with his models. Just kind of push right in there. So the henchmen still get to attack first, and this is, you know, each individual little squad of henchmen and the big squad of henchmen and all their ridiculousness attacking my boys and just whittling them down ever so surely and steadily. And I'm just kind of hoping right now that I'll have enough boys to attack back. Luckily, he does have a few Initiative 1 attacks, and so I am going to hopefully be able to attack. Those Arco Flails hit hard, or the guys with the 6, I don't know. Those henchmen hit hard. And so finally, I'm able to hit back with my boys, but at this point, there's just one boy. He does manage to do 2 wounds, but he does save them both. And then my Power Claw gets to attack. He only gets 1 hit, and he does wound, but then he puts it on his, I think, Librarian, for whatever reason, and he managed to make his save. And then his Librarian managed to attack back and wipe out the squad. And so my Orc boys have failed me. Thank goodness it's not an objective game, because those were my only 2 troop choices, and they were just obliterated. And he managed to consolidate into terrain to help him out, but as the state of the board, my weird boy just hasn't been able to do anything because of Hood and his poor leadership at this point, because he's not with any kind of squad. Everything has moved up, my boys have been completely wiped out, and the henchman squads really haven't been touched. The Ludas can do so much damage if they only roll well at all, so we'll see in these upcoming turns, and that battle wagon actually is not immobilized. And so we'll see if he can manage to spend another turn, but the Vindicare Assassin can penetrate so easily. We'll have to see, especially with the +2 on the chart. And so that's the end of turn 2. Stay tuned for turn 3 and lots of fun action.